Hello and welcome to Hearthstone. Silrace here with another starter deck, and we are talking about the priest deck this time around. As usual, the point here is to create a workable deck with minimal crafting. In this case, there is no crafting whatsoever actually. And well, that's partially because the priest can do pretty well even with the starter cards, thanks to the, well, class ability being a straight up heal, which you can from turn 2 onwards pretty much just use on either yourself or minions, where it's usually even more effective. That also allows many low tier, low casting cost minions to actually trade pretty well, because you can trade it for something, heal it up, and then have it trade for something else as well. You do however need level 10 as a priest to get the most out of this deck, because prior to that you don't have access to every single basic card for the priest class. Priest has multiple ways of making their creatures stronger. For example, Powered Shield giving more health, Divine Spirit doubling the health. Well, Powered Shield also nicely works as a card draw in the same go. And well, obviously, using your class ability you can simply heal your minions up after they have taken some punishment. However, I would highly suggest not stacking these buffs, these bonuses, on a single creature, because many classes have an easy way of getting rid of a single creature, such as hunters with their deadly shot, rogues with an assassinate, warriors with execute, and so on. So try to spread the love around, so to say. There are a few spells also in this deck which actually help clearing the board. However, the wording on both Shadow Word Death and Shadow Word Pain, actually these do not deal straight up damage to creatures. So there was no real reason to bring in a spell damage creature such as Cobalt Geomancer, because it would only benefit the Holy Nova. This priest deck has a few big beefy creatures, simply because they synergize pretty well with the priest's ability to heal creatures, minions, whatever. The main thing I wanted to really touch on a bit here is the Gurubashi Berserker though, because if you read that text there, it is not actually an enrage effect. That means you can heal it always back to full health, and it will still retain all the bonus attack it has gotten, well, from receiving damage. Also, speaking of that, always remember that you can cancel enemies' enrage effects by healing their minions up to full health again. And finally there is that one card which had people in the arms against it for quite a while, and it got, well, moved into being 10 mana cost, and if you can survive that far, it can turn the tables around for you when enemies have big beefy creatures. So remember, mind control is useful, but you will have to survive so far as to be able to get some use out of it. So in the end, this deck is more geared towards the mid to later game functionality and actually surviving the early game to get there. This is how I feel the priests do the best overall. But you are obviously entirely free to experiment all you want to try to make an aggro priest deck if you feel like doing that sort of thing. As usual though, I don't take any credit for creating this deck. It uses no crafted cards whatsoever, so someone has created same or very similar deck somewhere. With that said, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this helps you get started with the priest as a class.